Look, I don't have a proper script, but I don't need one to say how great of a game, or story, or experience Final Fantasy VII is. Look, man, I spent 90 hours pouring my heart and soul into this game, so of course I gotta share my thoughts on it. But I do want to say that there are two main problems that I found with the story or just the experience of Final Fantasy VII, especially the remake and Rebirth, because I actually haven't played the originals. Blame me, I'm a fucking kid. So before we get in, dissect those two problems, let's first look at the game itself, right? So basically, the story is basically Cloud and friends are going to different parts of the world in chase of Sephiroth by chasing down the Black Robes who are trying to gather for the reunion, right? The plot isn't really what the game focuses on for most of the story, so we can kind of skim through that. But what I need to shed light on is the end of Remake. In the end of Remake, Cloud and Friends is manipulated by Sephiroth to kill the Whispers, or the Whisper Harbinger, which is basically the concept of fate itself. So by Cloud killing the idea of fate, it allows Square Enix to kind of choose an ending or continue the story however way they want. Now that's great and all because it means they can tell their own new, unique story without being bound to the expectations of the originals. And some people found that ending very divisive, some people found it controversial. And when I finished Remake, keep in mind that I haven't played the original, so I have no bias nor nostalgia for it. I found it to be quite a bad ending, to be honest, because it kind of took a dookie on just the entire game of Remake. Once again, I'll say I haven't played the original, so I had no nostalgia for the game, the Midgard section. But what I did see was a story of a group of terrorists like Avalanche fighting against a greedy corporation, which is Shinra. It was this fantastical but grounded tale, and now they're suddenly fighting whispers of fate. But then now, as I finish Rebirth, I realized that actually this ending, there's a bit of sense in it, right? That's what I would be saying actually. If the ending of Rebirth wasn't the way it was. Now, let's talk before we talk about that scene, that ending in Rebirth. We gotta talk about how great of the characters there. You actually know, screw that. We don't need to talk about the characters of Rebirth. Let's just go into the ending. The ending does not make sense. Okay, so the Cloud gets manipulated by Sephiroth. He hands over the black material, which is a fake, right? The game says it's a fake. Aerith knows what's best. She says it's a fake. But even though Sephiroth does that just to fuck with Cloud's mind, right? Eventually, when Cloud snaps free to save Aerith, he has these visions, which is all these multiverse shit. It's you know what, fine, let it be, right? I think there's some beauty in it, there's some artistic creativity and direction they can go with it, so that's fine. And actually, I really enjoyed how Square Enix looked at Zack's role and his unique kind of Superman-like traits of trying to be this rock to everyone, right? Trying to bring everyone's hope up, especially in a world where everyone thinks they're gonna die, which is, his world, the one where he survives. So his conversations with Biggs, trying to lift his spirits up, because Biggs thinks he's this ghost, this person who wasn't meant to live, yet he lived, when he thinks everyone else in Avalanche would have been better off alive compared to him. So he thinks he has all the responsibilities and all the goals, hopes, and admirations bound on his shoulders, and he thinks he can't bear the weight. Meanwhile, Zack says, who said their responsibilities are on you? Even though you bear their memories, that doesn't make you worthless because you can't live up to them. Because you have to live up to what you want. You don't know your dreams and aspirations. And then in Zack's world, you have to hug it like this. So I think that's really great. That's really beautiful. And you can only really get those story moments with a multiverse-like plotline. Now here's the issue. When you introduce multiverses, you introduce variants of characters we know and love. That includes Aerith Gainsborough. Rebirth knows that. So when Cloud sees Sephiroth descend from the skies about to stab Aerith, which we know is gonna happen, Even I knew it. Come on, the FF7 original game has been out for like almost 3 decades, or basically 3 decades. I know Aerith is gonna die. I was gonna be sad. Look, man. I romanced freaking Aerith the entire fucking game. I have 97%. What's it called? Character relationship with Aerith's character. But the point is that I knew this was coming, right? But part of me expected, what if they'll change fate? Because they killed the Whisperers in Remake, this is a perfect lob to tell a new story. But no, that's not what they did. Cloud parries Sephiroth strikes, and for a moment we think maybe Cloud saved Aerith. Because Sephiroth takes he has to fall back. Cloud looks back and sees Aerith is unwounded, only for him to clutch his head and guess what? She's bleeding. Oh shit. You get the point, right? It's like this is what they're doing, right? You know when like a pet like throws a tantrum, or maybe like throws a ball like really far to annoy you, to get your attention. It's like when they do that, and then when you realize that your attention was not gained and like you're just kind of annoyed, so they kind of run over to the ball to get it back and bring it back to you. That's what Square Enix is doing. They told you to pay attention to the story because we're gonna change it. It's gonna be all cool now because we're gonna change it. But then they realize that you kind of don't like it, and you're kind of like and you look at the sales of Remake compared to the sales of Rebirth, and they realize maybe they just wanted the original game. So you know what they did? They basically gave you the original game with Rebirth, but they changed the ending because they had to, out of necessity. They had to, because they introduced multiverses by the end of Remake. But the thing is, they didn't commit to it because it shows one Aerith dead and one Aerith alive, because Cloud sees Aerith alive because he has an affinity with the multiverse, right? He can see multiverse variants. Meanwhile, his friend, especially Tifa, is heartbroken because in their eyes and in the grand scheme of that universe, Aerith is dead. Cloud's either just too delusional or has an ability to sense multiverse variants, because Aerith is a cosmic being. The fact that I am saying that Aerith is a cosmic being is already in of itself really, really dumb if you think about it. Because Aerith was this girl who was singing at the Gold Saucer. She was this girl who was commentating on Chocobo racing. And yeah, she was the last of the Sentra, but there's a sense of groundedness in it. She's not cosmic Superman. When could she switch between bodies from different multiverses? What? Like, it's okay if Sephiroth does that, but no, Aerith, come on, So, I actually propose a solution to problem 1. If problem 1 is Aerith dying, but the not dying is cheap, because it's vague and it dampens the blow of her death because it's more confusing than heartbreaking. So why not we use the lob that was thrown up by Remake, and instead of having Aerith die, we killed her. Everything that I've ever... Whoa, chill. Who said that? Me, I said that. Now let me defend myself. Like I said many times, Remake set up a story where Square Enix can tell a new story, right? So why not you change the middle point? Because the middle point of FF7 is Aerith's death, and the middle point is one of the most important parts of the story besides the climax. So have it be so that the player and Cloud and even Aerith thinks that she's the one that's gonna die. Because that's what we know, that's what we're used to. That's what we know is going to happen. Have that great build up. You can even have that random multiverse stuff, right? Where Aerith takes Cloud on the day and she's like, that's her final goodbye. You know what I mean? She knows this is gonna happen. Sephiroth knows this is gonna happen. But then in the last moment, when she finishes her prayers, she opens her eyes, she looks up. It's not her that dies. It's Tifa. Now, I think this makes sense because it not only kind of plays into the themes of Final Fantasy VII, it also pays off it pays off the ending of Remake. It makes it not feel bullshit. It actually like galvanizes. Why am I using the word galvanizes? It galvanizes the idea that they killed Fate. So anything can happen now. Even the death of a beloved character, as in Tifa, like in the form of Tifa, I meant. But there's also a new issue with that. Have you noticed, if you're thinking about it in your head right now and you're picturing Tifa's death in the place where Aerith was supposed to die, sure, there'll be shock value, but would it be as emotionally resonant and plot resonant as Aerith's death? The answer would be no. You know why? This is a hot take, and I know this is a hot take, but this leads me to problem 2. Tifa as a character just does not work. Okay, let me defend myself again. I can hear the pitchforks and fire, and oh my god, I'm going to die. But the point is that I want to make is that compared to Aerith, Cloud, and even, hell, I'll say it, even Barrett Wallace, and Yuffie, Tifa does not stack up as her own character. Her entire arc relies on Cloud. She develops as a character when Cloud develops as a character. She reacts to Cloud's actions, and that's part of it. And I get it. There's the point of her character is to show that she's kind of selfish by trying to be selfless. She's trying to hide everyone, especially Cloud's pain, away from the people she cares about, including Cloud, so that she can shield them from the pain of, knowing that they're delusional, like Cloud, right? She doesn't tell Cloud, or she's scared to tell Cloud that what he's feeling or what he thinks is real, like the Nibelheim incident where he thinks he was in the place of Zack. What he thinks is real is actually fake. But she doesn't want to tell him, or she's too scared to tell him, because deep down she's selfish. Because she's too kind, not just to Cloud, but to herself. She hates the feeling of pain like Cloud does. So she's kind of a mirror to Cloud. But then I have to say one thing. That's an idea, not a character. A character is born out of conflict, not just, conflict out of two things. Conflict with the world, and then conflict with other key characters. Who are other key characters? Of course, the main character, Cloud Strife. So, what do you think my reaction was when in the Gongaga reactor, but in the Gongaga reactor, Cloud is taken control by Sephiroth, and he steps closer to Tifa. Tifa begs him to stop, and he literally not unsheathes, but he attacks Tifa. Tifa would have died if not for some plot bullshit and the White Whispers demanding she doesn't die yet. She would have died. And then when she wakes up in Cisne's house, and then she sees Cloud sitting beside her in the bed, and her immediate reaction, and she's she's super kind, she's super soft, and she's like, you know what, Cloud, it's okay, we'll face this together. That's sad. That's sad because she's her entire character is reduced to someone who is in support of Cloud because she's too selfish to paint herself in Cloud. She has a great idea, but a 2D cardboard cutout of character. So imagine when that Tifa is the one that dies in Aerith's stead, would that have the same plot resonance? No, it would not. So if I proposed a solution to problem 1, I would also then have to propose a solution for problem 2. But the issue with proposing a solution to problem 2 is that it's divisive. Problem 1, the solution is divisive, but so is the ending of what we got in Rebirth. But the solution to problem 2 is even more so, I'd argue. Because now you're messing with a beloved character. Unlike the ending of Rebirth, Tifa is just beloved, right? Everyone loves Tifa, except seemingly me, right? But I think when you're modernizing a story, you have to also modernize its characters. So I propose that to make Tifa her own character, you would really have to dial up the moments where she's at friction against Cloud. I'd have to mention this one line from Yuffie in the ancient temple, where, I think Aerith mentions how Cloud's been acting strange and a little bit weird, and Yuffie says, "Oh no, it's okay. Tifa just needs to crack the whip, and then he'll be acting straight."
You don't think anything bad'll happen to them, do you?
So long as Cloud can keep it together.
Tifa's just gotta crack the whip a little. Tell him to snap out of it.
Tifa crack the whip? No, I don't think so. There's never been a point in Remake or Rebirth where she snaps or gets angry at Cloud, and there have been many, many points where she could have made a stand to show Cloud that what he's doing is not right. To give him, even though it's not exactly his fault, like Sephiroth's control, that's not his fault. But for her to basically be so inhumane, she doesn't feel real with the amount of support and loyalty she gives this man. Like, come on, Tifa, stand up. So when in those moments you need Tifa to be at conflict with Cloud, she needs to realize that she can't see Cloud the same way she sees him, like they left off those many years ago, because they're changed people. And they played with this idea. That's what pisses me off. They played with this idea at the start of the game in Calm, where Cloud thinks, "Oh, maybe you're a fake. Let me see that scar." Tifa shows the scar and he's like, eh. So she gets mad at him. But that goes nowhere. That side plot goes absolutely nowhere. So you know what? Let's just make Tifa angry. Let's make her mad. Let's get her pissed at Cloud. In the words of Yuffie, let's get her to crack the whip. Come on. It's what Tifa needs as a character, so that when that plot reversal happens, when Aerith opens her eyes and she sees that she has survived, but reality has taken Tifa instead. And maybe hell, you can throw in a rule that, when one person dies in the main universe, which is the universe we've been playing in, or we can call it the Catalyst universe, the universe where Fate died, where we killed Fate, the Whispers. That's the main universe. If one person dies from the main universe, they die across all branching universes. That is a fancy Nomura way of saying Tifa's dead. Because Tifa dies in the main universe, then she's dead in all the branching or alternate universes. So that gives her death a finality. And you could say, "Oh, you're just hating on Tifa. You need Tifa for part 3 of Reunion, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, because she is a pivotal character in Final Fantasy Part 3. And blah 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 blah. We need this below the highway. I think it's called the highway, the Shinra Highway. I don't freaking know. I think Cloud and Tifa have a moment there. Alright, they have a little bit of an intimate moment there. The point is, Tifa is needed for part 3 of Final Fantasy. I get it. But you cannot have such a bold narrative choice by killing Fate itself in the first game, and then just decide Aerith dies when she's also not dead. I can't be the only one thinking of this. But yeah, that's about it. A little bit of a messy thoughts. Like I said, I have no proper script. I'm looking at my ceiling, yapping all of this stuff. But yeah. like and comment if you share my opinions, and dislike if you want to. I just want to hear your thoughts. This is less of a video and more of a Reddit post turned into a YouTube rant, because I talk better than write. So yeah, thanks.